Welcome back to Homesteading with the Zimmermans, where each week we give you another episode of what's happening here on our Northeast Iowa 21-acre homestead. My husband Alvin and I have been married for 25 years, and we have 7 children. 5 of those children still live at home. Our oldest 2 are married and no longer live at home, so this means we also have 2 son-in-laws and 1 grandson so far. So on our 21-acre homestead, we seek to preserve the self-sufficient lifestyle of our Old Order Mennonite heritage for the next generation. We involve the children in every aspect of the homestead, from raising and harvesting our own meat, gardening and preserving to fill the family's larder, or preserving the dairy from the family milk cows, plus all the many other skills that develop the character and integrity and relationships of a family that seeks to bring glory and honor to their Heavenly Father. Good morning, everyone. It is about 5:30 a.m. It's already daylight enough to pick peas. So I've got the entire family, almost. I think Mitchell has to go to work. But I've got the entire family coming out here, and we are gonna pick those 5 long rows of peas. We're gonna do battle with the mosquitoes. We don't usually think about mosquitoes when we're up by the house. The minute we get down to the garden, the mosquitoes will find us. So as the family comes out, I will be spraying and rubbing them down for mosquitoes. But the reason we have to get started so early is because we have 3 cows to milk, all the chores to do, and the kids have VBS that they have to be at by 8:30. So it's very important that we get these peas picked, at least a good chunk of them this morning, because tomorrow Elvin and I fly out for Idaho. So anyway, we got to pick the peas and get them in the freezer before we leave. So basically, for mosquito repellent, we use our tallow lotion, and here I am using from Homemaker because my homemade lotion is all gone. So I'm using up what she sent me, and I will link to her shop in the description for you. And then we use a couple drops of lemongrass essential oil, and we just put that all over our skin, anywhere we've got skin showing, and then where, like, across our back, our shirts or our pants. So I use about 1/4 cup witch hazel, 1/4 cup water, and about 15 to 20 drops of lemongrass oil. My family cannot use anything citronella based because it acts as a stimulant and it keeps us from sleeping at night. So we try not to use any citronella based mosquito repellents. Okay, you can go ahead of me on my row. Come, let me put bug spray on you.
Just get the ones that are ready.
Yep. Remember, use 2 hands to pick. Harrison, you go on this row. Hadassah, you can go next to Maxwell.
None is like that.
Yeah, there is. take all the fat ones and do both, work together. And use 2 hands so you don't break the stems, because then they won't produce anymore. And then you also have to pick them up. So normally we pick an adult with a child, and we send the child out ahead of us a little ways, and then the adult follows and cleans everything up. So in this case, Kendrick is picking ahead of me, and I get to kind of guide him and give him tips, and then I come along behind and make sure that he got everything. And Harrison is working with Elvin, and then Maxwell and Hadassah, who have a little more experience, they are working together. And here again, the younger one goes slightly ahead of the older one, because the older person has more experience and picks more thoroughly.
This. After maybe after we shuck them.
No, I'll take them to the shucker. We don't have time to shuck them. All right, that's the peas we got. I expected more peas, but I suppose with the weather that we've had, it is to be expected that the plants blighted, and then the 90-degree heat we had didn't help either. And he picked the steepest part of the yard to go up over. If he spills it.
He's not over it yet either. I can do hard things.
Okay, the cows are milked, the peas are picked, and now it is my turn to put the peas in the freezer. So I got a mosquito bite right on my eyelid. Normally with this amount of peas, we would just gather the family and sit under the shade tree and have a shucking party. But because the kids are at vacation Bible school this morning, and Elvin and I are leaving for the Modern Homestead Conference tomorrow morning, I don't have time to make a shucking party, and I am going to call our neighbors, our Mennonite neighbors, and see if they if they still have their pea shucking machine, and take my peas there. Okay, JH. Hello, is this Concern Ruvas? This is the Ruth Ann. Tiamen, ik wil wonderen of jij nog je artsblikken hebt? Okay. Is that by room money river come? Okay, thank you. Bye. Good morning. Oh, fly hubby, you're too hold the expectations cut. Okay. My Steckhen's out of the blight. Guys, there's all the peas we got. He charges $1 per bucket of unshelled peas. So my total bill was $3 and it's within 5 miles, so that was totally worth it. However, when the kids are home, I really do like to sit, under the shade tree and have a big old fashioned shucking party, because those are memories that I want my children to have. I don't care if it takes 3 hours to shell them instead of 3 minutes. The memories are worth it. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do before we get started blanching these peas is I'm going to scrub down my sink, because the kids have been doing dishes this week and they don't always scrub down the sink as well as I want it. Okay, I've got my blanching pot out. I'm going to wash my peas, but first I've got to get my hair out of my face. It is so humid these days, and I'm wearing my hair longer this summer than I normally do in the summertime. So a lot of it is hanging on my neck and just annoying me. So I'm going to tie it up and get it off of my neck, because I'll feel more productive with my hair out of my face. Okay, we're just going to wash all these peas by filling them with cold water, and then all of the dirt will float to the top. So now that all these little ones and any dirty pieces have floated to the top, I'm just going to skim these off of the top and put them into a dish for the chickens. Okay, we are ready to start blanching our peas. So I'm just going to, so I've got my blanching pot, and what it looks like is a pot with a blancher that sits right inside of it. You can blanch your vegetables without a blanching pot. You simply, put them in water. But you'll see in a little bit why I like to use a blanching pot. Okay, so I'm gonna got my blanching pot about 3/4 of the way full, and then I'm gonna put hot water in. So I'm gonna put hot water in just a little less than, just below the level of peas. All right, so we've got our peas in here. We're gonna turn this burner to high. And we're gonna get them boiling. So I'm going to explain a little bit about blanching, because Some people will say, oh, you don't have to blanch your vegetables. You can just put them into the freezer, you know, straight from the plant. Clean them and put them in the freezer. But we find the texture integrity does not stay the same. And here's why. When you remove a fruit from the plant, so when this pea is picked, an enzyme gets to work immediately to break this down and turn it into compost, right? And so the only way to stop that enzyme from working is boiling water. So brief insert in boiling water will stop the enzyme from working, and that preserves the pea exactly the state that it was when it entered the boiling water. So freezing without that's called blanching. That insertion, or that little bit of time that it's in boiling water and then straight into cool water, that's called blanching. And what blanching does is it stops the enzyme from breaking down your fruit or your harvest. Or in this case, it stops the enzyme from working and turning my peas into compost. Freezing without blanching, freezing alone does not stop the enzyme. It can slow it down. It slows it down drastically, but it will not slow it down. So possibly if you're freezing your peas and eating them within a month or two, you're not going to notice a big difference. But those of us that freeze, you know, enough of food for the whole winter, like for the next whole year, we are going to get peas from the freezer that the enzyme has continued to break down much slower than it would have out of the freezer, and they will be mushy and we won't like them as well. So blanching stops that enzyme from working, and I'm just going to continue to skim some dirt off of the top and some leaves. And I want you all to know that my grandma was a firm believer in peas should only be hand shelled, because she thought, it was her opinion or idea, that the pea shucking machine bruises the peas up too much. But you know, now that I'm a grandma myself, maybe she simply wanted to sit with us under the shade tree and shuck peas. Okay. All right, we're almost there. As soon as it hits a rolling boil, we're ready to plunge them into ice water. Okay, this is what I call boiling. Some people will boil theirs for 5 minutes. For me, that's too long, so I just bring mine to a complete boil, just a rolling boil, and then we remove them. And here's when you see how well a blanching pot works. You can remove your peas from your boiling water just like that, and we're going to put them into cold water to stop that boiling process as fast as possible, because you don't want to cook your peas. You just want them all to be in boiling water to stop the enzyme from going to work and breaking them down into compost. So cold water as fast as possible. You could use ice water, but I'm not going to have enough ice anyway for all of this, so I'll just use a lot of cold tap water to get them cooled down. Alright, so we're going to cool those down like that, and then guess what? We can put more peas right back into this boiling water, and we can just get a whole lot done really fast that way, when we don't have to always start over with cool water. First we want to cool these all down. So we're going to start a fresh pot in the blancher. And there we go, back on the burner with these, and they're going to be boiling in no time because that water is already hot and almost boiling. And we're just gonna, these are about cool now. And then once they're cool, we're just gonna strain them and get ready for the next batch. And then as soon as they're cool, we're gonna start putting them into freezer bags. So then I just work my way through one blancher full after the next, making sure to only bring them to a rolling boil and not to boil them too long. And then as soon as they're boiling, I remove them and put them into cold water and just continue the process, one batch after the next, and then put them into freezer bags. I could have used my vacuum sealer for this, but you know, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. This is the way I've done it for years and years. So it's hard for me to remember because I just move along and do as I've always done, and I forget that I have this newfangled tool called a vacuum sealer. However, these peas will be all gone, you know, in the next 6 months. So it's not like I'm looking to freeze them for the next 18 months. And of course, in true Ruth Ann fashion, I tried to put too many peas in that last batch and made a mess on my stove. So now that we're all done with this boiling water, we are going to pour it wherever we don't want weeds or grass to be growing. Just like that. All right, guys, there we go. We've got 8 meals worth of peas for the freezer. I put about 6 to 7 cups of peas in each bag because that's about how many we need for one meal. So when I prepare these, I will put them straight into some hot water, and I'll basically do the same thing again. I'll just bring them kind of to a flash boil, and then I'll turn them off, strain the water off, and add some homemade butter and some salt, and they are so good. So much better than the grocery store peas that you buy from the freezer section. So we will pick our peas another time, probably at least once more before we pull them out of the garden. And hopefully that time we can have a shucking party, because that's my favorite thing about growing peas is the shucking parties under the tree. But anyway, thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe.
I put it in both of your dishes, just in case.